An arc called Judgement War. There wasn't really a lot of judgment handed down. This week I'm doing something a bit different, and I'm just going to jump right into everything. So, without further ado, the first two issues here of X Factor this week are 41 and 42, as they follow the titular team as they head to London to help a kid who has been captured by trolls. The trolls plan on using the kid's power to change the elemental makeup of any object to turn things into gold to crash the UK's economy, so people will leave and Britain will go back to being the home of magical beings. This is the worst arc in the series so far. It's serviceable. It does what it sets out to do, which in this case is introduce a fan-submitted character, but it doesn't really do anything beyond that. It honestly reminds me a lot of the plots from the Silver Age era, even down to the X-Men getting captured, which, if you remember, happened a lot. Its main saving grace for me is in 41, where we get to see the New Mutants living and being kids in the ship together, and the conversations the grown-ups have before the Golden Boy shows up. And speaking of the Golden Boy, that is Thomas Jones, which, as I have mentioned, is a fan-created character. He was created by Paul Bestow, and was the winner of the Mutant Registration Act contest that happened during Fall of the Mutants. He was originally supposed to appear much earlier in a New Mutants book, but shit happens and it got pushed, and now he's appearing in X Factor. It's neat that a fan-created character like this exists, and this book does a good job of introducing us to him, but there's not much else other than that to say about this two-issue arc. It's just fine. So, this brings us to X Factor's biggest arc yet, Judgement War. Judgement War is an 8, technically 7, but I'll get into that a bit later, issue arc that starts with issue 43 and goes all the way to issue 50. It follows the team as their ship is mysteriously thrust through space to an unknown planet that is being judged by the Celestials. X Factor are teleported into the middle of a battle and end up separated from each other. Archangel and Iceman are taken by the Chosen, a race of human-like beings whose whole society is based around genetics and how good you look. Bobby has amnesia and is put in with the Duelers, the lowest class of people among the Chosen, all of which have a secondary form in some way, whether that be shape change, or form change, or size change, something along those lines. Archangel is labeled as a reject and is thrown in the arena to fight for amusement. The rejects are the second faction on this alien world, and are beings who have monstrous looks to them. Jean is taken by them, as they assume she is a Chosen and can be used for bargaining chip for freeing captured rejects. Beast escapes with the rejects, but plays dumb in hopes that he might be able to get information on where the rest of his friends are. Cyclops, on the other hand, is found by a third faction, the Begin-Agains, a group of people who are not aligned with either the Chosen or the rejects, and want the war to end peacefully, as this world has bigger problems. Literally, like I mentioned, the Celestials have arrived, for the 5th time, might I add, to judge this world, and if the war is not stopped, this planet will get glassed. Aside from our main X Factor 5, we also mainly follow Princess Sira of the Perfect. The Perfect are like the highest class of people within the Chosen, as they are deemed so perfect looking that they are to be the rulers or the next rulers of the Chosen. Sira is saved by Archangel in the initial fight, and then that makes her wonder why a reject would do such a thing. This kind of has her character spiraling and ending up rejecting the Chosen's ideals and worldview, and especially so when she finds baby Christopher, who was found on the battlefield, and she decides to take care of him, which is against the law, as all Chosen children are not born in the traditional way. They are grown in labs and then given to robots that take care of them and teach them about the world. There are also a bunch of other characters in this as well, such as Rask, the power-hungry Chosen, who's driving his way into power. Lev is a dueler woman who's responsible for Iceman. Zarka is the leader of the Rejects, and Beast kind of only touch point among them for a while. Lord Palak is the leader of the Chosen, and of course, Ship, who discovers that they were a celestial monitoring device that has gained sentience. I'm not going to bore you with a whole recap of the events of this arc. It would just take too long and be way too complicated. So, yeah. If you're interested, go read it. But this is also a superhero comic, and I've given you the context and the main players. You can probably figure out how it goes for yourself. On the whole, I think this is a pretty good arc. I really enjoy where each of the X Factor members end up after issue 1. I just think it creates some very fun parallels and conflicts for those characters. The world building here is also very interesting, as it is in a way a look at a potential future for mutants. A world where everyone has a mutation and what that might entail. Also, I mentioned it before, but the fact that this is the fifth time the Celestials have come and judged this planet is crazy. Like, why are they so obsessed with this one world? You would think that it would maybe get judged once, maybe twice, depending on what they did, but 5 times is insane. Something's wrong with this place. Maybe it deserves to get glassed. This arc also has a lot of various messages strewn throughout, like the dangers of relying on robots for information, the dangers of totally ignoring science and medicine, and the opposite side of that bridge, of relying too much on science and medicine, the effects of classism and racism, and of course, rich people are bad. Man, there are a lot of warnings in this book. None of these are really expanded upon in the story. They are either stated or implied enough for the reader to extrapolate, which I don't mind, honestly. It just kind of adds to the world building. I would be remiss, though, not to mention the Phoenix and Maddie personalities are now both gone from Jean's head by the end of this arc. It was established back in 41 that Jean has both of the aforementioned personalities kind of rocking around in her brain after the events of Inferno. And here, Jean doesn't get to do a lot, but by the end of the book, uh, she essentially forces them out when she channels the hearts of the people in an attack on Erisham. So the burden, the clone are officially no more, for now. Oh, and Chuck makes a brief appearance right at the end and is apparently dying. I wonder when that will come into play, considering how infrequently we see him or the Starjammers across any of the X-Men books. I wonder if that plot that will ever get pulled fully. The last thing I want to mention is issue 47, which, similar to what we had with New Mutants, is an interlude to this arc, and is an Archangel solo story. It's set, if I had to guess, somewhere between issues 40 and 41. That's just a rough estimate, though. It might vary, but that's my guess. And it's fine. It's just Archangel saving some mutant kids from a cult leader. There's this really awesome full page panel with the stained glass mosaic for Archangel, and I think has some interesting parallels to make between Philip, who's the main villain of the book, and then Chuck and Apocalypse, and their influence on Archangel. I wish it had explained a bit more about how Warren knew where to go and who the villain was, but otherwise, it's fine. I think that's everything for this week. I know another bit of a short one, but I'm just trying to change up the format as I go, see what I like, see what I don't. But I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit the like button and comment your thoughts down below. Next week, we are taking a little break before restarting the circuit of ongoings and doing a bunch of X-Men related minis and single issues that we may have missed. So subscribe, hit the bell, and I will see you then.